The carnivore diet is helping tens of thousands of people, if not more, lose fat that they never thought they could burn, reverse chronic medical conditions that they thought they were stuck with for life. So if that sounds good to you, this video is going to help you understand how to do a carnivore diet properly and not make these 15 common mistakes that most people make when they're first getting started. I'm Dr. Ken Berry, a family physician with 20 years of clinical experience, and that's what this video is about. Now, the carnivore diet is the ultimate low-carb diet. It is a subset of a ketogenic diet. Most people's ketogenic diet limits total carbohydrates to 20 total grams a day or under. The carnivore diet turns down your carbohydrate intake knob as far down as you can possibly take it. And it also removes all of the anti-nutrients and plant toxins that many people are sensitive to, allergic to, or actually react quite violently to, and they don't even have a clue. So let's get into the 15 most common carnivore diet mistakes. I tried to be as comprehensive in this video as possible. The last mistake is a little bit controversial, and I hope it doesn't offend anyone. Now let's get into this. Number one is forgetting that seafood, eggs, and butter are carnivore. So many people think, oh, it's just red meat, it's just steak, it's just ground meat. That's what carnivore is. If something is a part of an animal, was a part of an animal, or it is a product produced by an animal, it is technically carnivore. A lot of people say honey is carnivore because it's produced by an animal. Honey is bee vomit. So I don't recommend you eat the vomit of any animal, including honey. And honey's also super high in carbohydrates, so that pretty much cancels it out from this ultra low carb way of eating. The eggs and the butter, that'll come in very handy in later mistakes that people make about the carnivore diet. Number two is eating too lean of a diet. Many of us come to this way of eating with the mantra of avoid fat at all costs. Eating fat will make you fat. Those are just not true, but you may have that in your subconscious. So you may tend to unconsciously pick leaner cuts of meat for your carnivore diet. Not only is it absolutely unnecessary, it can be quite detrimental to your progress and to your success. When you're eating a carnivore diet, you're not burning carbohydrates as fuel. You're not burning sugar because you're not eating any. Now, your liver can still produce some, which is perfectly normal and actually a good thing, but you're not getting the huge amount of sugar that most people get in their diet, so you are forced to burn fat as fuel. Now, if you have a lot of stored fat, that's actually the fat you want to burn. But as you're starting carnivore and as you're transitioning, and then as you're doing weight maintenance after you've lost any excess fat that you may need to lose, you need to eat, I recommend a 2-to-1 ratio of fat to protein by ounces or by grams of the thing you're about to eat. And that's where the yolks and the butter, so a lot of people can't afford to buy grass-fed, grass-finished, panda massaged, $22 a pound meat, but you don't have to. You can eat the best meat you can afford, and if that's the cheapest meat in the market, that's okay. Don't worry, you can still do carnivore, but you probably can afford to add pastured eggs and pastured butter to that meat. And so by adding pastured egg yolks, whether they're chicken, duck, goose, it doesn't matter. It can even be robin, quail, dove, or hummingbird, but I would recommend sticking with the chicken, goose, and duck eggs because they're easier to crack, easier to eat, easier to find. But when you add a pastured yolk, you're adding a ton of fat because egg yolks have about a 1-to-1 fat to protein ratio. And so that's raising your fat to protein ratio of the meat that you're eating. Even a fatty meat like a fatty ribeye or 70-30 ground beef still needs to have some fat added to it. And so you might cook that in bacon grease or beef tallow. So you're adding pure fat to the leaner cut of meat. You might add some pastured yolks to that. You might add some pastured butter to that. You don't want to eat too lean on carnivore. Number three is not getting enough electrolytes. You have to understand our ancestors drank river water, stream water, mud puddle water. These are all rich sources of electrolytes, but they're also can cause a nasty infection these days. So we want you to avoid probably drinking mud puddle water. Find a good source of electrolytes that you can add to your diet. I really like Keto Chow's electrolyte drops or fasting drops. There are many different brands out there on the market. When you're doing carnivore, you have to be an ingredient detective. You have to read everything that has a label. You have to read the labels and watch out for silly terms they use to hide ingredients you don't want in your body, like natural ingredients, because that can virtually mean anything. Number 4 is not getting enough omega-3 fatty acids. Now, we're really concerned with any spectrum of the proper human diet that you get a correct omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio. The average American is eating a 20-to-1 or a 30-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Very unhealthy, very inflammatory. Just the fact that you've eliminated all the industrial vegetable oils from your diet, that's going to lower your omega-6 fatty acid intake a bunch. You don't want to eat 0 omega-6 fatty acids. You need some. They're actually good for you. You just don't want to eat a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 that's too high. And once again, this is where adding pastured butter to your carnivore meal, adding pastured yolk to your meal, that's going to help up the omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acid ratio. Also understanding that, remembering that seafood is carnivore. You can add wild-caught West Coast salmon to your meal, and you can add fish roe to your meal. You can add cod liver to your meal, or cod liver oil if you can stomach it. Some people love it, some people don't. But all those things are going to give you more omega-3s so that you balance out your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Number 5 is organ meat. I know, you may currently think it's gross, but I promise you, as your palate matures and kind of becomes a proper human palate, you're going to start to understand that you can eat organ meats and they're actually tasty. One of the gateway ways to eat organ meat is a liver pate or a liver mousse, or even liverwurst that you buy at the store. These are excellent ways to start to incorporate some organs. Our ancestors ate all the organs they could get their hands on. There's actually, in the paleoanthropological research, they're starting to understand that the first stone tools we used were not spear tips and arrow tips. They were just big round rocks that we used to smash the bones and smash the skull of animals we were scavenging. We maybe even didn't kill the animals. We let the predators eat all the red meat, and then we would move in with our big rocks and smash and get to the brains, get to the marrow, which is very high in saturated fat, very high in omega-3 fatty acids. And so you need to be getting some kind of bone marrow in your diet, whether you're making bone broth and so if currently you're just starting carnivore and you're completely grossed out by the thought of eating any organ meat, Ancestral Supplements has a good line of freeze-dried organ meat in capsules, so you don't really have to taste it. I'll put a link to that down below. Number 6 on this list is not getting enough collagen. And no, dummy, I don't mean collagen powder. That's not okay. That's a waste of money, and the origin of that collagen is always suspect. There are many ways to get collagen in a carnivore diet. I've actually got a video about good sources of collagen that you can click on and watch after this video. But collagen is, so if you're eating eggs, there's a little membrane between the white of the egg and the yolk. That's pure collagen, okay? If you're eating ribs, whether pork, beef, or sheep, there is a membrane on the back of the ribs that most people peel off and throw away. That's pure collagen. Don't do that. If you're eating steak, eat the gristle. That's pure collagen. If you're eating chicken legs or chicken thighs or chicken wings, gnaw the cartilage off the end of the bone. Eat the skin. Eat all the little chewy bites, because that's pure collagen building blocks. And you need that in your diet so that you can have the beautiful glowing skin that most carnivores have. Number 7 is watch out for imitation seafood. And so if you just blindly go into the grocery and buy some crab and buy some this and that, you have to, again, put on your detective hat and read every ingredient carefully. If you don't know what it means, do an internet search on that word and you'll be an expert on it in 3 minutes. It's very common for imitation seafood to have added grains, added sugar, and added industrial vegetable oils in there, and then different stabilizers and things to make the meat stick together. None of that stuff is part of a real carnivore diet. So make sure you're getting real seafood and not imitation seafood, and watch those ingredients and additives like a hawk. Number 8 is sauces, marinades, rubs, and gravy. So if you've been eating a standard Western diet and you start carnivore, you may think, well, gosh, I've always put ketchup on meatloaf, so obviously that's how you eat meatloaf. No. You have to watch sauces and rubs and marinades and gravies very, very carefully. They very often are ways to slip grains and sugar and vegetable oils into your diet. You don't want any part of that. So here, any marinade or rub, you need to read the ingredients like a hawk. Almost every